Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the show. Welcome, 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 all the listeners, all my audience. Thank you. I feel like I know you, even though I don't. Get it? Welcome to Reality Spirituality. This is the show where I share with my audience how to experience more happiness on this journey we call life. Now, if you've listened to the show, you know that I could go on and on and on and on with examples. I'm going to try to keep everything fresh and new today, especially for my listeners that have been with me for the last few years. So I just want to share with the new listeners first the whole premise of the show, which is how to experience more happiness. So what does that mean? Happiness is fleeting. Well, I'm here to tell you that there is a formula for happiness. Yes, there is a formula for happiness, like there's a formula for water, like there's a formula for hydrogen, like there's a formula for tiramisu. So there is a formula, and it's really pretty simple. The formula is to eliminate all the behaviors that subtract from happiness and practice the behaviors that are going to add to your happiness. It's very simple. When I say happiness is a practice skill, I'm really meaning that it is a practice skill like anything else. We just witnessed the Super Bowl. Thank you, Tom Brady, for winning your 7th ring. We just witnessed the Super Bowl, and every single athlete. I know it's going to sound obvious, but all professional athletes, you have to practice, and they are practicing every single moment, especially when you're committed and you are passionate about the topic. And so when I say happiness is a practice skill, I'll give you what to practice. I'll give you what to eliminate. It's up to you. It's up to you and that person in the mirror to practice. It depends on how committed you are. How committed are you to feeling, to wanting to feel happy? Now, when I say happy, I know that's a buzzword for some people. Some people don't even like the word. But let me just be more specific with my definition. And the definition of happiness, my definition of happiness, is being able to be at peace regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. Happiness is a state of mind. Happiness is a state of being. Happiness is foundationally rooted. And so when I say experience more happiness, I'm talking real stuff here. I'm sharing with you that if I can do it, anyone can do it. But it takes a commitment, and it takes the practice every single moment. And let's see, what are we practicing, Rebecca? What are we practicing? But before we ask what we're practicing, I want to ask you, how much are you committed, and are you ready to prioritize happiness over everything else? Sounds crazy. Sounds like a crazy concept. I don't hear anybody else talking about it. But over everything else, that means over money, over health, over relationships, And when I say happiness, I'm talking about a vibrational peace, an energy that is all about peace. That's it. No matter what's going on in the world, no matter what is happening in your outer world, I'm talking about this inner vibrational energy of peace. Always there, never leaves. You never, ever, ever have to, well, where did my connection go? No, it is an energy, it is a vibration that is always, it will never, ever leave you or let you down. And when I say that, I mean it is the first part of the practice, or the practice, is trusting that you are being served in a way that maybe you don't feel, maybe you don't understand, maybe you don't even want, but in every moment you are being served, meaning that whatever is happening to you, and I'm using air quotes when I say to you, whatever is happening to you is happening for a reason. It's happening for a divine reason. And when you trust that, and you live that, and you believe that in every cell of your body, there is a peace that comes over you like no other. I can't even explain. It is a letting go. It is a letting go of all the extra baggage, all the extra suitcases that you're carrying, and you don't need to. Because when you trust, you let go. When you really trust, when you practice trust, you let go of, what do you let go of? Worrying. You let go of thinking that something needs to be different. You let go of the future. You let go of the past. It is, when I say rooted in peace, I mean rooted in universal peace. It is a trust. It is a belief. It is a way of life that all I can share is that the more I practice, the easier the practice gets, and the more peaceful I feel about everything. When I talk about, the topic of today's show is how flexible are you? Well, if you can imagine, there is a big difference in someone who is very rigid, very not interested in any kind of change. This is the way it is. This is the way it needs to be. This is the way, here we go, it should be. Those people that are not flexible, especially, you can see it now. I mean, with all of the things that have been happening since this political lockdown, it's a political lockdown. In March, last March, people have been forced to be flexible about how you do business, flexible about everything. It seems like, not everything, I'm not going to say everything, but a lot of things, the majority of things have changed, meaning that if your nature is not to be flexible, if your nature is to be rigid, if your nature is to this is the way in other words, if you're driving home at night and you take the same route every single night at 8:03, all I'm saying is there could be more peace that you could be feeling, that you could be experiencing. Letting go of this rigid need, want for things to be a certain way, without any flexibility and without any openness, there's no room for peace in that. Let me give you a really quick, easy example. Yesterday, my son and I were going to go out to this new restaurant that just opened maybe a month ago or 2 months ago. I don't even know how. And it's really not. It's very rare to have a new restaurant open in a very small town. This is a very small town I'm living in, and it's very rare to have a new restaurant opening anywhere close by. So it's a brand new restaurant, and I wanted to try it. I talked him into trying it. And we got in the car, and we're Googling, Google Maps how to get there, directions. And I'm looking at the website, and it says now it's around 3:15 in the afternoon. And we're looking at the website, and it says closed and opens at 4. Now, there was something else. Oh, the bank. Yeah, my son wanted to go to the bank, and then we were going to go to the restaurant. Now, the funny thing is, of course, the bank is closed early on Saturdays, and the restaurant closed early, and then they closed, and they're opening again for dinner at 4 o'clock. I know this is a very simple example, but we're both sitting in the car. The car is on. He's looking for the hours of the bank. I'm looking at the hours of the restaurant, and we're both discovering that we can't go to either one at this moment. So we look at each other, and we just turn the car off, and we get out of the car. Nothing more is said, nothing more is done, and then, of course, closer to 4 o'clock, here we go. The story is a simple story, but the concept of always being open to change in every single moment, in every present moment, remaining open to change, remaining open to all different possibilities, just remaining open. And that practice of staying open and being flexible is an important practice for more peace and more happiness as you journey as you will discover. The more flexible, see, when I am, I used to be. How about this? This is the old Rebecca. Rebecca, trust me. Anybody that knew me 20 years ago wouldn't recognize me now. I mean, the face is the same with a little bit with extra wrinkles, but would not recognize me right now because of the change, because of when I did prioritize and I did want to find this peace that I was searching for, this happiness that I was searching for. One of the things that I had to let go of is being rigid and only seeing one way, only one perspective. The rigidity is not compatible with peace. You can look out into nature. The rigidity is not compatible with peace. What's compatible with peace is remaining flexible, remaining open to all possibilities at any given moment. How many of you can say that? How many of you can raise your hand instantly that I'm flexible, that yes, I can change, that yes, even if you had an idea, it's called, I like to say pivot. You know, I watched, here's another television show, but I watched Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. And one of the things that show teaches, you know, it's not only business, but it teaches an entrepreneur or a person that are you flexible enough to make a change if things aren't panning out or not panning out, aren't happening, aren't unfolding in the way that you would quote unquote planned or expected. And then we get to this very this is very common. It's called God's will. That's really what I'm talking about here. What you want, and then the will of the universe. And who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to prevail? Every single time. I know it's not me. I mean, I do get my scraps. My scraps of things happening. Oh, thank you, universe. It unfolded exactly the way. Now, I already know better than that. I don't even have any expectations about how anything is going to happen or unfold anymore. I've given up. I mean, how many times do I have to say that my intention or what I want or what I desire, and it's totally opposite of what the universe wants for me? So the desire and the wanting and the goals, they're all gone. My mantra is my ask, if you will, is to universe, whatever your will is, I'm okay with it. Whatever you gift me, and it is always a gift, whatever you gift me, I'm okay with, universe. I'm okay with whatever you choose. Whatever you choose for me, I'm good. It's like going to a restaurant and the chef chooses your meal. Now, it's a great chef, 5-star, chooses the meal. The question is, how much are you going to enjoy something that you did not choose? See, and let me be very clear. It's not about what you choose, it's what the ego wants. See, my ego thinks it knows everything. It knows exactly what I need. It knows exactly what I need to do. And I'm here to tell you that my ego doesn't know anything about the universal plan. So there's a big difference. And it's a total surrender act. It's a total surrendering of anything that I had planned. And I mean anything. Unless I have an appointment, unless I have to get on a plane, unless I have a job, unless I have something that is business, it's all inspiration here. It's all open. Thank you, universe. I'm open to whatever you have in store. And my question to the universe every single day is, how do I stay open? How do I practice trust more? How do I surrender to everything that is in my path? And that is the way, that is the practice to more peace. And when I say peace, it's the same as saying happiness on this show. When I say how much are you committed, how much do you want to feel, to be, to vibrate, to be the energy of peace and happiness, that question is only a question that you can answer. When I talk about happiness, I said the definition of happiness, and again, it's the ability to be at peace regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. I'm gonna also ask you on this, staying on the topic of being flexible. The ego, some people call it the ego, some people call it the mind. The ego mind is always working, is always on duty, and always finds an issue, a problem, something that you know what, I wish it was different. The struggle, the challenge is to recognize that the ego is not flexible, does not want to be flexible. The mind does not want you to be flexible, does not want a different plan. No, the ego has one perspective, only one perspective. And we all know what it is. And it's never good news. So when I say practice being flexible, start with something small. Always start with practice something that is easy, a small bite, a baby steps, small steps, small bites. It's the small changes. It's the tiny changes that make a huge difference. So when I gave you the example of going home a different route, that's an idea. Oh, just do something different. Or how about this? If you're used to saying no, say yes. And if you're used to saying yes, say no. In other words, practice doing something different. Flexibility isn't just Somebody had a point with me a couple of months ago about being flexible, and I don't want to be a doormat. Flexibility has nothing to do with being a doormat. Flexibility is all about finding the path to peace. What is the path to peace? What is the path? What is the decision? What are the words that I'm going to use? What is the behavior that I'm going to display that is going to give me more peace? See, when I say the lockdown, there was a lot of forced flexibility. But my question is, have you been able to maintain being flexible, or is it a struggle to be flexible? Usually the people that are really into controlling and really into certain ways and being, they say it's set in your ways. Those are the people that have the most challenge with being flexible. It's almost an inability to be flexible, because flexibility is not really taught at an early age. In fact, let me just scratch that. Let me scratch that, what I just said. What I have experienced is that flexibility is not highly praised. Being flexible means that I can make a decision today and I can change my mind tomorrow. So sometimes that being flexible and that changing the mind isn't really I'm looking for the word. What's the word? I'm looking for a specific word, and I can't find it no matter how hard I'm trying. Back to flexibility. Flexibility is so important when you are wanting to feel more peace, because the flexible person can see more perspectives and can come up with more perspectives. And the more perspectives you have, the more perspectives you're able to come up with, the more peaceful you will be. I mean, let me just give you a quick example. So, and I've said this one before. So you're driving on the road, and someone that's speeding, and you can see them in your rear view mirror, and they're coming fast behind you, and you can see them, and they almost hit you, and they swerve, and they have to change lanes, because you're driving too slow, and then they change lanes to the right, and they cut in front of you, and they're on it, and they're going somewhere, and they're going somewhere fast, and there's someplace that they have to go. When I'm saying that is, your perspective is you can either get angry and say that they're driving recklessly, or you can also find another perspective and saying maybe one of their loved ones is in the hospital somewhere and they just got the news. In other words, the flexibility of giving someone else the benefit of the doubt, the flexibility of not having a programmed response, the flexibility of keeping all responses open, and especially if you are responding the same way all the time, and when I say somebody cutting you off on the freeway, when somebody cutting you off, and you're always responding with anger, or you're always responding with what a jerk, or you're always responding with flipping someone off, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that is an example of being rigid. That is the example of not having any flexibility to think that there's a reason for it, and it is not personal. There's flexibility to know that whatever is happening to you is not personal. The flexibility of being open to different beliefs. And when I say different beliefs, this is the question. When is the last time you've changed your mind, or the last time you've changed a belief? When is the last time you've changed your mind, or the last time you've changed a belief? So if there's no really quick answer to that question, or, I got to think about it, I got to know, see, I don't remember, then what I'm here to share with you is, hey, we got homework now. You have homework, because the flexibility is a constant state, always a state of flux, a state of change. And do you embrace change, or do you resist change? That change thing is a real interesting one. It's very telling when someone is dropped into a whole vat of change and everything's different. Just like what's happened here. This life and this day that we're in, how we're living, is all about something different, all about a change. There is nothing that has been the same since the beginning of last year, March. Well, I'm sure there's a couple things that have been the same. So the question comes back to you. How flexible are you willing to be? How flexible are you? How many beliefs have you changed in the last month or two? What have you changed? What have you been open to? See, when I say there's a rigidity and there versus flexibility, there is a real big difference between which do you think is going to bring you more? In fact, let me just ask you the question. Which one do you think is going to bring you more happiness? Being rigid or being flexible? That's a no-brainer. And when I say rigid, that's across the board. That permeates through every aspect of life, that rigidity, that this is the only way I'm going to do this. This is the only way I've been doing it for the last 10 years. I'm going to give you another example. It's even to the point of a haircut. I know it sounds very simple, but even just changing a haircut or mustache to no mustache. See, when I say being open, I mean being open and also being comfortable. See, there's a difference between being open but now there's a lot of angst, and being open and being okay, very flowy. I'm going to flow on this one, universe. I'm going to flow here. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to flow. I know this is new. I know this is uncomfortable, but guess what? That uncomfortable feeling, that little bit of, I'm not really comfortable yet. All of that changes. Every present moment evolves into another present moment, and nothing stays the same. That's why if you are feeling tortured, and I use that with a little tongue-in-cheek, feeling tortured, by life and by others, always with the dramatics here. You're feeling tortured. I'm here to tell you that feeling, whatever you're going through, it is not going to last either. There is a constant change. And when you think about the outside nature constantly changing, then and even inside, let me just talk about the inside, the way the cells are working, your organs are working. There is something, it's constantly moving and changing. And when I say the flexibility watch, notice that your ego, that your mind does not want anything to change, even to the point of relationships. Or when I say the point of relationships, let me be really clear. There are different levels and types of relationships. There's relationships. I've known people since junior high. I still know people from junior high and from high school. And the interesting thing is that sometimes if I do circle back to those relationships, you know how you contact somebody if you haven't talked to them for a year or 2 years or 3 years, you know, especially with this lockdown, I found myself reconnecting with people. But the point is this: the reconnecting with relationships, I've noticed that for the most part, and this is only an observation, and I'm asking you the same question. For the most part, are you seeing, are you noticing, are you witnessing any of your friends, any of your family, any of your coworkers, any of them changing, any of them being different? Now, I know that one of the things, as I say, is to stay out of other people's business, but this is an observation, and I'm going to ask you, have you noticed anyone changing? Do you notice changes in other people's behavior? And the reason why I'm asking you that question is, one of the things that I've noticed is when I circle back to relationships, when I'm talking about relationships that have been grandfathered in, 30 years, 40 years, 10-year relationships, I found for the most part that the person that I know is the exact same person that when I first met. So my question is, and it is really an introspective one. It is how well do you know yourself? Meaning, how flexible have you been? How are you different? When I say look at others, it's really to just get a point of where to start. But the real question is, how are you different? How have you been able to be flexible enough to make a permanent change in your own life? Now, let me give you an example. Let me give you a good example for my that I can use for myself. Okay, this is one of, let's see, probably decades, maybe 3 decades of where I'm living. All the shoes have to come off. Before you come in the house, shoes are off. Every shoe, there was nobody that I allowed in the house, that I allowed in the house with shoes on. And that has been from the first house I was living in, second house I was living in. It's been a running, you know that if you come to the house with shoes, there's a spot for your shoes. And I loved it. And it was, cleanliness, hygiene, the carpet, the brand new carpet. There's never been any shoes on that carpet. Well, when I moved, this is the story. When I moved to Oregon, now I'm living in the middle of a forest, and it's a very different environment here. When you're in the middle of the forest, dirt, you can't be concerned about dirt. Everywhere you look, there's dirt. I mean, I've never had so much dirt on the what is that called? The floor mat of the car. The driver's side. I mean, it's constantly it's dirt. It's dirty where you're walking. It's dirty. The car inside of the car. It's such a big difference. And with that, I've had issues with my arch. You know, I have a right foot in my arch. And I've always had flat feet. Excuse me, flat feet. And so I've had to wear corrective things in my shoes since I was a very young girl, and now orthotics. So I have to wear orthotics. And when I say I have to, if I don't wear orthotics, and if I don't wear the foot brace on my foot at night to keep my foot in a prone position, I'm going to have a hard time walking. And I know this is a long story, a hard time walking. So now I have to wear, but I wear my shoes in the house because they're orthotics and it helps my feet, and I wear shoes in the house. Now, if you can imagine someone who was so particular for decades about a little speck of dirt off from the shoes, and of course the wear on the carpet from the shoes. If you can imagine going from a speck of dirt to walking from the outside into the house. Well, of course, it's not carpet here. It's all wood floors. Inside, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying the ability to be flexible, even with the ideas and the beliefs that you've had for decades, all of your life. Are you able to let go of even those beliefs that have been so programmed and so deep that you believe that they're a part of your identity? See, I used to think that's who I am. Another example, this is another example I just discovered. You know, I always said, and that's another thing about being flexible. Being flexible in your beliefs and being flexible in changing what you believe. But my point is, what was I going to say? The story about belief change. Okay. So my son likes to play games. When I say games, you know, board games from dominoes to Scrabble. Just time to time, so we play games. So he drags me. I'm flexible enough to do that. But one of the things that I never like losing. Don't tell anybody, please. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. I don't like losing. I'm a sore loser. That's one of the reasons why I really can't watch too many of my football games, because if I'm a loser, if I'm losing, it messes with my peace. But this is what I discovered. I mean, and I've always, when I say always, and that thing about I've always been like that. Oh, we can just throw that out the window. And throw that out the window for yourself, too. There's no such thing as you've always been like that, so that means you can't change. No, you can be flexible and you can change on a dime in an instant, even if you've always done it one way for the last 50 years. So when I say that I'm a sore loser, I mean in the past, when I lose a game of gin rummy or a board game, I don't like it. I don't like it, and I'm also one of those horrible, rub it in your face type of people, if I'm winning. Yeah, it's really terrible. But in the last maybe 4 months, that I played these games with my son, these board games, and I'm going to get to the calls in a minute, that I discovered that I can be different. I can be a good loser. Yes, I don't mind losing anymore. It's being open, the flexibility to letting go of what I used to do or be. Hold on a second. I have someone that wants to. I have a few people in the queue. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. What's your first name? Area code 951. Welcome to Reality Spirituality.
Hi, Rebecca. It's Nathaniel calling.
Hi, Nathaniel. I was wondering if that was your number. Welcome back to Reality Spirituality. What's going on with you this week?
I thought I'd call in. I'm, I'm still working, and I've moved to a new location, and there's some interesting people. I'm living with different people. There's a nice girl I like. I'm living with now.
And my question is, why do you like her?
She seems really pure-hearted and kind and, fair and sensitive and kind of thing.
Mhm. And have you asked her any questions that you can find out a little bit more about? See, one of the things that I do when I meet new people, I have questions that I like to ask them, so then I kind of get an idea of really what they're about and their character, and so I mean I love meeting new people, but I also like knowing but knowing a little bit more about them. Meaning, I like to ask the question, what makes you angry? And so that question, and I'm only throwing that out there, that question, it opens up a real interesting discussion if you are willing to hear, not only hear, but willing to maybe fast track. That's what I want to say. Fast track the relationship, and really, what makes someone angry is a really, I like it as a question, and then there's more to get to know. What do you think about that strategy?
I guess you could ask them what makes them happy too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Great question. So have you asked her the question about what makes her happy?
I'm really not sure about that. No, I don't know. But I haven't. No.
Mhm. Well, I know that you are. I thank you for listening to the show. I really appreciate you, Nathaniel. I really do. And my son's name is Nathan, so it's one of the reasons why I love your name. I love your calling in. So I really do appreciate that. And thank you for calling. Do you have a specific question for me?
I know you don't do psychic readings at all or anything like that, I guess, but do you see our relationship getting more, maturing? Or
Well, let's say this. Let's say this. This is what I'm going to share. I'm going to say that depends. It depends on whether or not the universe has that in the plan. I mean, I hate to give you such an open-ended answer, but the truth is that what's going to happen is going to happen. And what I would share is just to be grateful. When I say grateful, appreciative of all moments and enjoy every moment without well, what is this going to mean, and what is this going to, what does relationship mean? What does the future hold? It's really about enjoying every moment with everything, and not only relationships. So I really just want to remind you just to enjoy it all and ask the questions. You want to get to know somebody. You really don't know if they're compatible enough until they're challenged. So asking those tough questions, or asking questions of what makes you happy, what makes you angry, whatever questions you want to ask, those aren't the only two, but ask the questions. Then you get to know someone, and then you get to know if they're compatible or not. That's my suggestion. And thank you so much for calling in, Nathaniel. So Reality Spirituality is heard every every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com, REBECCA, Norrington.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RLNorrington, LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is RealitySpirituality. And my YouTube channel, I have a couple of videos on YouTube. And my first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. My second book that I'm writing now, Program for Unhappiness, is going to be out sometime this year. And until next week, I just want to remind you that this being open and being flexible is only going to add to your peace and your happiness. So practice. Happiness is a practiced skill. And so whatever you're practicing in your present moment, you are taking with you into your future moments. And I want you also to remember that you are a physical extension of the universe. You're always changing. You're always growing. You're always evolving. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. It is about the moments. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with Global Happiness Specialist Rebecca L. Norrington. Have a conscious week, and I will talk to you next week, and stay open. Reality Spirituality. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's the new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we getting real.